What's the most valuable piece of advice your dad gave you about the restaurant business?
Well, my dad, I just constantly, be on top of your, be on top of your food. Taste everything. Flavor is everything.
Mm-hmm.
You got to watch everything that comes out of that kitchen, and I try to, but I can't possibly be there all the time. My dad had a hard time, understanding that, but he comes from the old school. Of course, we have a family and kids and all that. It's kind of hard to, I can't be here all the time. But when I'm here, I try and watch everything and taste everything to make sure it goes out well. And that was, to this day I can still hear him. Take care of your business and take care of your family. And those are the great words that I'll always remember about my dad. He was a hard-working guy. He helped me out a lot.
Mm-hmm.
He was definitely a legend.
How long ago did he die?
He died about 15 months ago.
Oh, wow.
But he came to this country in 1932. Him and his brother, his older brother,
Mm-hmm.
and they had to leave Greece, the old country, because during the Depression it was very difficult, and his family couldn't afford to feed him. They said, you need to go to the United States and go see your uncles and get a job and try and do better for yourself. We're having a hard time feeding you and taking care. He had 4 brothers and 2 sisters. So it was real difficult for his parents, and they shipped him off to the old country, from there to here, and they rode the trains during the Depression. They went to Texas. He had uncles that had restaurants there. He worked there in the early 30s, but he migrated out here to California. He had relatives in Southern California. He had uncles in Sonora, of all places. Sonora, there was a famous restaurant. It's still there today, Live Oak Cafe in Sonora, that he eventually got up there to one of his uncles who owned it and would cater to the movie stars in the old Western days. A lot of the Hollywood movie studios would come up there and film Westerns, and a lot of the movie stars would come into the restaurant and eat, and my dad would be one of the cooks in the kitchen. He was young at the time. But anyway, but he got a flavor and a desire to be a movie star. That was one of his big things. He loved the movies.
Mm-hmm.
So he got a couple of little bit parts in this, as the extras. They recruited extras from the area. And he did get a couple of little speaking parts in some Western movies, and he really loved all that. But he never did really get an opportunity to go any further than that because they, of course, were very poor, and he had to work, and he couldn't go to acting school or anything like that. But anyway, he continued with the restaurant business, and then he ended up in Oakland during the late 1930s, working at some of these really famous restaurants there. And then he met my mother in 1941. And then he was welding ships at the shipyard, the old Richmond shipyard. They call them the Victory boats.
Mm-hmm.
The Victory boats that were famous for used to transport whatever troops and machinery. Anyway, so then he got married and met my mother, and that's their story together.
Wow.
But yeah, so anyway, he did all that on his own. He never saw his parents again. After they left Greece in 1932, he never did see his parents again. They were very, of course, it was a very poor country, and they never did come over here, and he never did go over there. So I never did meet my one set of grandparents that lived in Greece.
Mm-hmm.
And so anyway, it was a great story there. But my dad he was a hard-working guy. He never had any help from anybody. He worked 3-4 jobs. Always had 3 or 4 jobs going to support us. But that's what I always remember about my dad is he worked hard, and you're never going to get ahead. Nobody's going to, I'm not going to win the lotto.
Right.
That's what he always tried to insist that we do is work hard and, take care of your family.